Did you know that a Muslim girl once survived an airplane crash because she refused to remove her hijab? Her name was Hala Atiq, and in 1979 her father traveled from Syria to California to start a new life there. And 3 weeks later he called his wife and his kids to come over to California so that they could also join him. So they all got on a plane and made their way to the US. They first had to stop over in New York, which would allow them to get a connecting flight to Chicago, and then finally to Los Angeles. And while they landed in New York, they were required to apply for the green card there before they could get on a flight to another American city. And for that, they needed to take a photo. Now, Hada was only 13 at the time, and she'd only just recently started to wear her hijab. And she was told that she needed to remove her hijab for the photo to be taken, but she refused. And then they told her if she continued to refuse, she would not be able to live and stay in the US. Now think about this. The family had traveled halfway across the world and had spent nearly their entire life savings to make this trip. She just needed to remove her hijab for one little photo. But Hala refused over and over. The officers called their supervisors and they brought her into a back room and interrogated her for 3 long, painful hours before they just finally gave up. Under enormous amounts of pressure, she just refused to the last moment. And finally, the officers gave up and allowed her to take the photo with her hijab on. But by then it was way too late, and the entire family had missed their flight to Chicago, which meant that they also missed their flight to Los Angeles. So they had to buy new plane tickets for both legs of the trip and stay in the airport overnight. Her family berated the little girl all night and even into the next morning. And finally, when they got to California, their father saw them, hugged them, and started crying. "Thank God you're still alive." And the mother looks at him and says, "Of course we're still alive. Why wouldn't we be?" Well, in one of the greatest tragedies in recent history, that flight that they were supposed to be on from Chicago to Los Angeles, flight 191 American Airlines, actually crashed and 271 passengers died. There were 0 survivors. It's amazing to think that this family managed to narrowly escape death. And it was all because this one little girl refused to remove her hijab. Like and follow for more Muslim facts.